Snakes don't talk. How come that snake spoke? Why did he even make the tree in the first place? Why? Like, why? You know that this tree should not be consumed by humans. And then you made it and placed it in the garden so that what will happen? So that who will consume it? What exactly was your plan in the first place? In this video, nobody is mocking anybody, nobody is mocking God, nobody is trying to mock any religion. This is purely my opinion, okay? The reason why God gave us thinking faculty is for us to be able to reason, to make sense of the things happening around us, put things together, find solutions. That is why we have intelligence. If we're not supposed to use our intelligence, then there wouldn't be need giving it to us. So, with that being said, I am really, really thanking God that eventually I have an avenue to share some of the things that have been bugging me throughout my spiritual journey, and I have no way to like say them out or who to say them to and all of that. So, right now, I am feeling a little bit of relief that eventually I can really say it out. These are the things. I know that I'm not the only one in this predicament. So many of us have this kind of questions in their minds, but they don't really know who to channel these questions to, right? So, but here, this platform has offered us an avenue to rub minds together. You see yourself in others. You know that you are not alone in your challenge. And so on today's edition, I am looking for who to blame. Just like all of us have been blaming someone for the sufferings we are going through in life. Everybody must have experienced one challenge or the other, life becoming harder by the day, and we have always pointed accusing fingers on Adam. So today I am going to look at what really Adam did wrong in the Bible story of Genesis chapter 2, verse 1 downwards. So, but particularly, we are digging to verse 16, where God gave Adam that command not to eat of the tree of life and death, or tree of knowledge of good and evil. When you were a child, your parents and your relatives will simply take you along with them wherever they are going to, whether you wish to go or you don't wish to go. But as an adult right now, nobody can take you where you don't want to go, right? So that is exactly how it is with our spiritual journey. Right now, as adults, we have freedom to ask questions. We have the right to know what we are doing. We have the right to ask questions and not just obey with a yes, right? Especially when you know that these things have a lot to do with the outcome of your life. It has a lot to do with who you become. It has a lot to do with what you end up as, or where you end up at, and who you end up as, right? So, because of that, I am really, really interested in knowing if some of these stories in the holy books are metaphorical, because our lives are not metaphors, right? I don't know if you think your life is a drama, is you are, your life is being acted on a stage. Life is too precious to be, a drama, right? Because a lot is involved in the makeup of a human person. So if these stories are there, nowhere was said that this one is just an illustrative or story to buttress a point, then I am not really taking them as one. So, but if you think that the stories that I am analyzing were simply metaphor, then take my analysis also as metaphor, right? So, today I am really considering what happened between the first man and God, okay? And I am gonna, for the whole of my analysis, I'll be using the most popular version of the Bible, King James Version, okay? So, after God made man and the other animals, he puts man in the garden alone as a human being. And then he brought other animals to him to be named. We know the rest of the stories in Genesis chapter 2. After God concluded the assignment of creating the world, he and he made man in his image. God placed man in the Garden of Eden, right? In the paradise of Eden at that time. And he had access to everything but to one tree, right? And that tree is called the tree of knowledge of good and evil. And he said to man, verse 16, on the day you eat of this fruit, you shall die. So do not go near this fruit. Every other thing in this garden, you have free access, but not on this tree, right? Some versions of the Bible also made it look like there were two trees, the tree of life and death, and the tree of good and evil, right? So if it was actually a tree of maybe life and death or something like that, I will not eat it. If I were Adam, I will not go there. I am already alive, so maybe if I eat it, I will die. But the tree of knowledge of good and evil, if I were Adam, forget about pretense. I would eat the fruit. Even you, like this, watching me, you would eat the fruit of good and evil. Who would not want to know more? Curiosity alone on the name of the tree will make you want to have a taste. Forget about who plucked and who did not pluck, right? In chapter 2, Bible had not mentioned the presence of Eve at the point when he was giving that command. If God had named that tree, the tree, maybe a gall tree, a poison tree, one scary name, I'm sure Adam would have not tried eating it. But come on, the tree of knowledge of good and evil. That was God planning the fall of man by himself. The all knowing God should have known the man he created. The first experiment that this man will eat this fruit. If God is the way we portray him to be, he has a remote for the man, right? Stopping him when he sees him going to do what he's not supposed to do. So, but you took a whole time, made everything. You saw it was good. You started planning the fall from the first day, immediately. It doesn't, how does it? I mean, the world and the earth that you made and heaven is too large to not have, the controls. And just, I don't know. I don't know what to think, but I know that theologians and other people will say he gave man freedom for blah 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 blah. But then look at where it has landed us, right? You made something, and from the first day you planned the fall of the thing. It's just like you just finished building a jet, a very big, expensive jet, and you know that if you do this, it will result in that. And you just went and did it. Test and control. So this is like what I don't get with the story. Where it's even getting interesting is when he had given this instruction to Adam, Eve was not there, right? The Lord God caused the man. I'm reading from chapter 2, verse 21. So the Lord God caused the man to fall into a deep sleep, and while he was sleeping, he took one of the man's ribs and then closed up the place with flesh. Then the Lord God made a woman from the rib he had taken out from the man and brought her to the man. I still remember what happened on a certain day in my primary school days. I just got into the science class for the first time. At this point in time, I had, received First Holy Communion and all of that. I came from a very, strong Christian background and so on and so forth. And then I knew this story of creation of the world and Adam and the story of his disobedience and everything. Like I had them at the tip of my fingers. So, and then our teacher brought out the skeleton, and I was curious. My eyeballs were almost like popping out of my head. And then, the teacher was describing this is the eye socket, the skull, the this, the that, the mandible. So I was focusing on counting the ribs, like one, two, three, four. And I was like, the first question I asked the teacher curiously was, is this skeleton the skeleton of a man or for a woman? And the teacher was like, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if a man or a woman, because every skeleton has the same structure and the same number of bones. I was like, no, the man's skeleton is supposed to have one rib missing. I just don't know which side, but it's supposed to have one rib missing, because that rib was the one God took out to make Eve. And the class was like quiet, and my teacher didn't know what to respond. She was like, you have a point, but every other explanation she gave, I did not really understand. But it was until I became an adult that I started, like, not that I had finally made sense of it, but I found a way to just take this not the literal way. So, and then coming to a woman, if, well, a creator can decide to be very creative in his art, can do and undo, but there are stories that that this is the essence of these people. This is their origin. This is where they are finding themselves from. This is like, it should be as clear as possible, right? A woman should be one single bone like that, dangling up and down, that you just took from a man. But then eventually we came out having the same number of bones and everything. And this is why we have all these power tussles. Who is stronger than who is more intelligent than who should bow to who should control who should be ahead, you know. So because these things were really not well spelled out, you said you made a man first, then you made the woman out of him with one rib, and eventually the woman came out looking exactly like the man. The man even confessed, like, this is now the bones of my bones and the flesh of my flesh. The chapter went further to explain in verse 24 that even the man, after he had, yes, confessed that, yes, this is the bone of my bone and the flesh of my flesh, the passage said, that is why a man leaves his father and mother and is united to his wife, and they become one flesh. Please, my fellow Bible students and scripture experts, could you guys really rephrase this statement? Because this is not what we are used to in every part of the world. If really God said that this is why a man leaves his father, some versions, some translations would even say this is why a man should leave his father. But the women are the ones leaving their father and their mother to join with the man. So is that why marriages have not been getting it right, especially in African setting? The man would go and acquire the woman, and the woman will leave everything that makes her who she was, and even her name, and join the man, and they will become one body. What's going on? Why should it be so? Did we turn the Bible upside down? Is this why marriages are failing? Is this why there is confusion? I need to know. I'm not for who and against who. I am not for anybody and I'm not against anybody. I'm not representing any group, I'm not at all. I'm sincerely asking questions that I have problems with understanding, right? First of all, why would God give that tree a name as attractive as a tree of knowledge of good and evil, and expect Adam not to eat of it? Number two, if I were Adam and you were Adam, both of us would have still eaten the fruit. So no need blaming Adam for that mistake, right? God did not take precautions, knowing that he just made a new being place him in a new place, and the man is definitely going to explore. You were the one that made him with the whole curiosity and the mindset. So is it her fault or is it his fault that he ate the fruit? That's one. And number two is creating a woman out of a man's rib. And for sure, till date, there is nowhere to show evidence, nothing to show that anything was removed from the man's rib. The ribs are complete. Are the stories not true? Are they metaphorical? I'm taking them in the literal sense, seriously. So, and that is why I am having confusion. The Bible even said you covered it up with flesh, categorically stated, not that you covered it up with bones or it grew back. No, there was no record of it growing back. And then a woman comes out having the same structure with a man. What a miracle. Thirdly, why would the Bible say that a man should leave his father and mother and join with his wife so that they become one flesh? It turns out that the women are now the one leaving their father and their mother to join with the man. Except in few parts of the world, few very minute places in the world where they do exactly the way it is in the Bible. The men leave Western world. Yeah, there are places I know. The men leave their parents and, join with the woman. It doesn't matter where the woman lives, whether in her parents' house or in her own house, the man joins her and even takes her name. I am telling you what I have witnessed and seen. I have been in those places. And then you hear a man answering the woman's name or even her mother's name, right? And living in their house. It happens. So, are these the ones doing what the Bible has prescribed, or is it that the Bible stories are metaphorical? Apart from all of this, what about the scenario of the snake? First of all, almost all versions, all translations at that point in time was referring to the snake as serpent. In today's English, we hardly refer to snake as serpent. So, serpent in that context literally means a being, like a being, a deceiver, the devil. So, I really want to know, are snakes serpents? Because we know that there are thousands of species of snake out there. Which of them is the serpent? That's one. Snakes don't talk. How come that snake spoke? That's my second question. And my third question is, snakes at that time, or the snakes we know now, they don't have legs. They crawl on their belly. Was there ever a time, please, that the snakes had legs and were moving? So after that incident, God recreated the snakes and they lost their legs, and like all the snakes in the world that he made automatically just changed form and began to now crawl on their belly. It's really not adding up. That story said that when the snake spoke and said the things she said to her, who told you that you will die if you take the fruit? God doesn't want you to know what he knows, doesn't want you to live forever, like, the things the devil said to the woman to deceive her. And the devil said to the woman, you shall not surely die. For God doth know that in the day ye eat thereof, then your eyes shall be opened, and you shall be as God, knowing good and evil. Very logical. The devil was really talking. I was going to bring out a point because the woman looked at the fruit again the second time after she heard those words and saw that that fruit is really desirable, you know. And then she plucked it and ate and then gave to her husband. The Bible said because her husband was there too. So, not like the man went somewhere else and this transpired between the woman and the man. No, the man was there. Then this conversation took place and God was watching and kept quiet. I don't get it. God banished them from the garden so that they will not really take the tree of knowledge of um, good and evil and become equal with God, or even pluck the tree of life and eat and then live forever. So what happened to that tree eventually after God chased them away and secured the garden with the angels that had swords of fire? So what eventually happened? Are the angels still there? What happened to the tree? God destroyed the tree. Why did he even make the tree in the first place? Why? Like, why? You know that this tree should not be consumed by humans. And then you made it and placed it in the garden so that what will happen? So that who will consume it? You'll be coming down from heaven to take to eat out of the tree. What exactly was your plan in the first place? You wanted the tree to bear food and fall on the ground, or the animals were going to eat? Remember that you gave human the right to eat everything and even the animals to eat of the trees. And then you just came out one day and said, don't eat this one. So why did you make the tree in the first place? And now, cursed be unto the snake, from today you shall eat dust. Which dust? Snakes that are swallowing full goats, even little child. In fact, young adults, snakes that are eat. Which dust are they eating? I'm not getting these things. I'm not getting it. I'm not getting it. To the woman, in pains you shall bring forth children. What was your plan for procreation in the first place? As far as I am concerned, there was no other alternative. The woman had not given birth before. So she had never tested any other form or any other type of childbirth. So to the woman, it's normal. Like, this is the first experience I'm having. I'm going to have pains pushing out the baby. Had it been she had had first one or two experiences with childbirth, and then she will begin to cry and worry, oh God, so now it's going to become very hard. So it's not a punishment. That's to me was the original plan for the woman. To the man, for your sake the ground is cursed, you shall sweat to eat out of it and stuff. Aye. So, did you actually curse the ground just for the sake of the man? You cursed the ground, everything. You've cursed everything you created because no other animal is finding it easier. Typically, the woman, the man, all the whole generations of human beings are finding it difficult to eat out of the ground. Not just to the man, because the man is not the only one aching out living or struggling to make ends meet, except if you meant man, like the whole human you created, not really the masculine, but both of them. So you basically punished the woman. You didn't just make her begin to have pains with childbirth, but also to suffer to earn a living, because I mean it's not easier for the woman out there. They don't pluck money from the trees. They even suffer more than the men to make ends meet. So punishment is basically for the woman, not for the man. The one for the snake is the one I don't even understand at all, at all. Okay. I don't know if it will be correct for me to say that God originally set out the human being for failure. I don't know. If God is as powerful as we are making him appear, he should have preferred having a very beautiful world peopled by humans that are finding things easy and so on and so forth. Where did the serpent came from? At this point in that Bible story, nobody had told us about the creation of the devil, maybe that possessed a snake. I don't know. Were animals talking before now? And do humans understand what they say? You know? So, I don't know. Have you guys seen any snake talking? Because after the punishment of, after the words of punishment that was pronounced on the snake, you shall eat dust and move on your belly and so on and so forth, it was not or destroyed from creation, or that removed part where he says, I'm putting an enmity between you and the woman, and between your seed and the seed of the woman. What does that mean? Is it only women that snake bites? Don't snake bite men? Because I don't get that part. The woman shall bruise your head and you bite her heel or whatever. For where? Which woman? So, in my wildest dream, will I even try to go and kill a snake by hitting my leg? I mean, well, like I said earlier, these are really confusing me. Confusing me. I can't count how many times I have seen a snake before in my life. So, what battle do I have with the snake? So, and if the snake implies the devil tempts everybody and doesn't spare anybody. The devil doesn't spare the man, neither does he spare the woman. So, we all fall into temptations. So, how is that supposed to be the woman's problem? It's a general problem for everybody. So that pronouncement doesn't doesn't stand. So, like I said earlier, these videos are just intended to share these I'm having with understanding some of the Bible illustrations, right? While I'm trying to grow in my spiritual journey. So basically, that is what this is about. Feel free to, you know, make videos in response to some of these my questions. Tag me. I will be glad to watch and learn. Write comments extensively, explain some of these things. I am asking them in good faith. I am not here, I'm not mocking anybody, I'm not mocking God, I'm not, I am, well, those that know me, they know who I am. So I am trying to bring out questions that a lot of us have deep down, but they don't really know how or who to, put these questions out to.